Another wonderful day, another fine day, another fine conversation with gentlemen, people who actually making things happen in our community, people who have content and rush to them, people who um, mirror them every now and then, people who look at them and you feel like, okay, I want to be like them. And when you meet them, they start telling you how no, you're supposed to be better, start telling you what you're supposed to do to get better than them. Then you look at them and you're like, why are these people actually not president of our country, president of war and all these things? It's going to be another fine session. A very fine session because, like I said, it's not only because of the love I have for these people, the respect I have for them, the knowledge, the wisdom they have. For me, it's more about how they look at our community. It's difficult to find people who, every time you meet them, every time you see them, always community, community, community. Every time you talk about community, you going to talk about community past me 1 million times. Um, for those who that watch already, make sure you invite a few people. Make sure you invite friends the way they get from them. Now, the topic or the foundation of the conversation is Trump America. And some people reach out and they thought it was just about those of us in America. No. I remember seeing one of the complaints they put in America and say, oh, if you become president, people know people America and all of that. Is that really, really true? Or we'll discuss things like that for years. By the way, disclaimer, we'll never discuss anything about this topic out of this place. If I remember very well, the only time we had a conversation was when I went to Austin for my brother Gustav his sister's birthday. And we just talked about one of our random conversation and then he talked about something and then smashed up down. And then I just looked like man, you want a different level of energy. And then the time reached, and then we see it happen, and then I go back to the conversation and I realize, wow, there's something they really man be know am. Either man be know am, be know accept am, or me now know am. And now that's the basis of this conversation. That's why I feel like, you know what, let me bring someone who understands this. So every time I do his videos, he don't know. So it's that's how hype I get when I meet him. Uh, Actually, I don't know, but when I started working with him, every time he put out the link, I was irritated. Every time he told me, "Oh, Donald Trump does that," I was like, this guy. I was so angry. But then my love for community work, and then the way we need to handle the relationship, when we continue working. Yeah, I want to start realize many things that we eat on now. You I even started with the same time. And I meet my brother. By the way, I was talking to you both at that time. Was welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. Or maybe wherever you are. It's always a pleasure to be here. Excited to be here. When I'm talking to community, I get excited. I just get excited. These are exciting times. Wherever you are, these are exciting times. And we need to exactly understand why they are excited. What we're going for. It might be things that we're going to talk about here that some people will irritate. It doesn't matter. The key is what is reality. We're going to talk about reality. That's the most
Yes, these people will be irritated. Ma, do my interview. Boss, welcome on
important.
Toridey.
No, it's just a pleasure to be back every day. So, I've just been working with a lot of guys. So, with application for the work we've been doing. I think the level to do is the kind of guest we develop on the platform from education to the advancement of people. That's fantastic. And when he called me up about this program, I said to the friend, my calendar is here, not really just to talk about it, we're going to discuss it today. Necessarily to have a chance to get to meet your brother and very good friend. The most importantly, to just think about what is in the American dream for us, right? The way I looked at it, like you said, when we are talking because when Trump get even material. The key is this. You think about when we all think about something like liver too. Now, these are traditional medications that are used to treat malaria. And everybody will tell you that very bitter. There's nothing as bitter as liver to treat malaria. So I want people to understand that discussing this topic today on the platform, it doesn't necessarily apply to where we live politically. That's irrelevant.
Mhm.
That has nothing to do with it. It applies as what is unique in the American dream cake for us. And it's strong going to be the number two to cure malaria. That's everyone watching. Because of the English.
Mr. Gustav,
Yes.
I said, I will start with you. How you dey think? How you dey think? Like, how you dey think?
One thing, first of all, I always come at everything, not just a person life. I always try to see from the other person. There's a reason why. This is why I, either in 2016 or this time around, he won the vote. He didn't only do that, but he won across most ethnic groups, most cultures, most people, and most races, which means therefore that it is something that everybody could identify for. We're not going to talk about some of those things. It might be some of our personal opinions, but there are things that the people have informed us about that. So when I think about everything, I realize that I really don't know anything. That's the truth. At the end of the day, you always have to look at where is the other person coming from? How can I add value to that? Because when you add value to that, you are also getting value. It's easy. You can sit back and say, hey, you know what? I think that man because he is this, this is this, this is that. He's making the person you have policies are going to be influencing your health. So what an intelligent person needs to do, which is what I do. I don't say you have to be extraordinary, right? But I just think about it in very simple things. What do you do as an individual, as a business owner, as an immigrant in America? I like myself in a way that I can take of different changes which is really good.
Boss, how did you get to know from? Because I remember very well. I think you started talking about it before it became president.
So I was just listening to what I was saying. You answered so many interesting things. And I mean, I have been reading for a long time. I started reading from when most because I mean, even when I was in the United States, I was a capitalist. And capitalism is something that people don't understand. They don't understand what capitalism is all about. Our problem is that we basically think that Trump must not be the next. Trump must not be the next. Capitalism is about self-interest. That's the thing about capitalism is a system where if you think that you're going to go and be thinking about things, think about it. You have to align yourself into his thinking. That is the game. Capitalism says that it is a game where the powerful will win. We are like the socialism is different. Capitalism is a government has nothing. The government doesn't own anything. The government is in a system where we are in a system where the government basically makes the rules we play the game. We play the game. And the way it's been done, the people they call capitalists, they own the system. If the government doesn't do anything, what does it do? The government puts in place things for you and I to do. If we don't do them, then we get what? Capitalists, like the Trump. They are the people who are, they are the tops in the market. The middle class are being screwed. And most of us will think like middle class. We behave like middle class. We think that we are the nice people in the community. If you want to be nice, go to we want to win in America. And the Americans were thinking about it. Not the middle class. If you want to win, you want to do what all of them are. Have you seen that guy called Newton is a nice guy? Is he a nice guy? He's not a nice guy, but he's doing something. When you see somebody who's making money for easy, it was easy on him to happen.
Absolutely. You have
making
a video. Eh?
absolutely. I don't really have it because making money, that's what everybody should do. And when you come and you talk about dreaming, you're dreaming of making money. So when you come here and you see a guy who's done it, who's about to, who's, I mean, there's a reason, like Gustav was saying, there's a reason these guys were looking. Number one, they talked about what? It was all about Bitcoin. Number two is about the war. Number three is when we talk inflation. I mean, those things, everybody is thinking about it. We have to stop thinking that we want to be the nice guy. The government of America is already what they think when you think about creating America. And most people will think, I don't stand here to advocate for Trump. But I'm just saying that if Trump is there, we play the game of Trump
Yes.
to win our own game. Making America great, from my perspective, is going back to capitalism. That's what I understand by it.
Boss, I like
Wow.
with you. You want to add something?
No, no,
But
no.
I want to actually ask you because it's beginning to sound more like our mindset. Especially we, our community, we come from a place where we don't give and then now I feel like that's why it's difficult for us to even accept the fact that some of we or accept say you don't win and the reason we win. And I'm afraid that if we not even accept that, if we start look at it like okay, I think how will we position ourselves, then we will fail for the next 10 years. What if another person will come in at the same policies like you? What if the person will rule for the next and at the same policies like you? It means we will not make anything. So I want to talk a little bit on mindset. Why it's important for us, yeah, understand where you come from, keep the things that we call our culture and or whatever, those things you feel like, okay, make me look like a good person. Then you then have America, something like America.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The mindset is that is the health, right? Because think about it this way. Sometimes people don't really think about this, from a very, from the perspective where it's supposed to be done. When I come to president of the US, tell me how many people you know who love their boss. When I say love, they think he's the nicest person, he's the sweetest guy, he's well like how he's somebody, she's somebody who is doing right. Very few. Yet they still work for them, yet they still seek promotions under them, yet they still try to do best they can so that they have a chance to be able to move on. That is the same way in this case, including on a bigger platform, because you have a lot more latitude of control than you would under a certain boss, right? Because just like Mr. Njoya said, the role of the president is to be able to manage the government and the legislative arm and the judicial arm to provide a platform where players can play for maximum profit. Now, if you don't have that mindset, if your mindset is more worried about what Trump eats for breakfast, if Trump is the nicest guy because he's not the nicest guy because he's divorced 4 times, you are thinking about it from the wrong perspective. You see, mindset is very important because mindset, what is set in the first place, set is adjusting. Like you sitting in here now, we're talking, if the temperature goes high, what do you think you do? You're going to go to the thermostat and adjust the thermostat.
Yeah,
To bring the temperature down so that it's a little cooler. So mindset is an adjustment. Mindset is something that is dynamic and it's not static. If your mindset before Trump coming to power today was, oh, this almost perfect person. I cannot deal with people who are this. I cannot deal with people who are this. Let me tell you the truth of the matter. With that mindset, you will not be even able to deal with opportunities that will change your life. Because you're not seeing it like from that perspective. Now we have somebody coming in who is pro-business. We have somebody coming in who is pro-independent activity. We have somebody coming in who before now wasn't is pro-crypto. He's pro the financial market. In fact, I was reading an article this morning while I was preparing for this. Let me share that with everybody. Let me share that with everybody. Listen to this. These are the industries that are going to benefit from coming into power. The materials and construction industry. So people who are construction materials and things that are leading to construction. Utilities, electricity companies, water companies, right? Healthcare companies, the information technology business. I know that one because of intimate need. I used to be in the IT industry, and then my friend is one of the people who made it happen for that industry. What does that mean? That means that more people can get in the industry because it makes sure that the jobs remain in America. It makes sure that all the companies that are across jobs in different parts of the world. They are forced to do in America. So a lot of people get into IT industry, a lot of people get money, and today the immigrant community, people who are millionaires just working for companies, which was unusual. Now that wave is coming back, right? The S&P 500 from the time he was elected has already increased by about 15 or 17%, right? Consumer discretionary goods, banking and finance. These are the areas where improvement is going to happen. So if you see that in your mindset is thinking very good from the personal perspective of the kind of man is good, maybe he's more relationship is not the best. Maybe he's not the greatest father on earth. None of us know that because his children are not complaining anyway. Maybe he's not the greatest husband, his wives are not complaining. So you are focusing on the wrong thing. Your mindset should be listen, how do I play the game on this platform that is providing for us? Today on the stock market, for example, from the time you were selected, the stock market has increased about 15, some companies are even 30% off, right? Tesla stock moved from about $184 and it closed on Friday at 400, it went up to 480 and Friday at 450. Think about it this way. Somebody had 1,000 Tesla stock and it counted at 80 something dollars. By the time it closed at 420, they are $450,000. So they are about $220,000 in which I want us to understand this message because that, especially as people coming in from America, different parts of the world, we tend to live too much on emotions. Emotions will submit. Emotions are not the most important thing. Forget about it. Forget about it. I'm not saying it's not important, but I'm just saying that in the time we live, in the capitalist dispensation we have, we can do it. It's about playing the game the way the rules have been built.
Boss.
I couldn't agree
Yeah,
more.
Mr. Jason, you want to say
Yeah, I
something?
couldn't agree more. I couldn't really agree more. One thing, most of us think that, I mean, there are so many things that Trump said that we can agree with, some that he said that we won't agree with. But what I want to say is Trump, when he comes to power today, like now when he starts office, it's going to be a lot of things. There's going to be a lot of things. It's not American very good because when you talk about capitalists, those are people who they're very they don't really go to it. One of the things that's going to happen when we talk about Donald Trump, when he came, he told us that he was going to, I mean, he spoke a lot of things that cannot be done. Actually, he said, I was going to come here and then inflation is now at 22%. Now, Donald Trump is saying that he's going to come back. And one of the things he says is that tariff is going to, tariff is going to increase in the future. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking that Donald Trump will come and do something, just know that the cost of things are going to go up. They are going to go up because tariffs will bring the cost of the tariff. It should be only good. The
Thank you
thing
for
you
making
should be focused on is how do I increase my income. And Donald Trump has already said it. He had an interview yesterday. Donald Trump is not going to go about increasing minimum wage or adding benefits. The Department of Government Efficiency, you know what I mean? Department of Government Efficiency is led by the capitalists in the world's strongest, in the world's wealthiest, and then Ramaswamy. What do they do? They're going there, they only identify $3 trillion of threats. What does that mean? They're saying that the government is too large. We are giving too much benefit to people. We're going to cut all of them. So if you're sitting there and you're waiting for benefit, it's not going to happen. They are going to cut some of these things that we're thinking. 3 trillion is a lot of money. $3 trillion is a lot of money, and they want to cut that. So if they cut $3 trillion, you will sitting there and relying on benefits. Forget it. It is time for us to start thinking like the capitalists. It is time for us to think about building our own economy. It is time for us to do businesses because what's going to happen? Donald Trump is going to increase tariffs. Tariffs means that when they increase tariffs across the board, he talked about 15%, 10%, and then he went up to 25%. When you increase tariffs, let's say we increase tariffs against goods that are coming from China. What happens to China? China, now the cost of those goods, American goods are very expensive. Very expensive. 90% of the companies that are sitting here, they have employees seated all over the world. All over the world. They're not here. So even when they increase that cost of goods by tariffs, when they put those tariffs, what's going to happen? The cost of those things, the exporter or the importer, the guy who's importing those goods, is just going to increase it on the price that you and I go to the market and buy. So what does that mean? When they increase that price, does that solve the problem of cost? We are at 22% inflation now. What is going to happen with tariffs is going to go up. It's going to go up more. When it goes up, our thought should be, how do I start doing that small business on the side? Not my income, because my income from that employer is not going to go up. Maybe it's going to go up a little bit. But he already said it, that he's not going to, he doesn't think that increasing minimum wage is something he wants to do. Why? He said it yesterday. He said that minimum wage is a hard thing to touch. Why? Because minimum wage in California is not like minimum wage in Texas. So if you put a number across the board, it doesn't help. So what does that mean? It means that prices are going to go up. And he said it yesterday. He said it's hard to reduce prices when prices are already up, even though he said all through the campaign that he was going to build them down. It's hard to increase prices, reduce prices when they're already up. So, yes. So what does that mean? Now, but the other thing he said, which is very, very important. When we come to America, the American dream, we've talked about mindset quite a bit. The first thing we want to do, and which many of us do, we go to good schools. We come out of good schools. We start making money. When you make money, the first thing you're looking for is taxes. Donald Trump, the other government, the government of Biden was saying that they wanted to increase taxes. Because the mindset is that we increase taxes so that we can take care of more people for the social. You increase taxes for the rich so that you can take care of more people. So you make the government larger. That's not America. America is a smaller government. That is capitalism. If you want to do that, you go to a place like socialist government, where socialist government, the government owns the land, they own the food, they own everything you do. Like in Cameroon, you go to Cameroon, government has everything. You have your home, they come and remove you there, they don't give you anything. Nigeria, all these other countries. That is almost communism. It's not the same because we just have dictatorship over. But the key is that if you want the thing that made us love America and come here, I've not seen anybody in my community who is dreaming of going to Russia.
No, China.
No, China.
I know that's
the dream is to come to America. And what made America great is capitalism. What is the foundation of capitalism? Is that thing I just told you. The foundation of capitalism is that the government is a true government for the people, by the people, and for the people. It's a true government. So it means that what? The government makes the rules, we play the game. We play the game. And if you want to know one other thing, you see all those people who are seated there in Washington. Every person who is a senator, a congressman, the president himself, they are being put there by some capitalist. And you think when I put you somewhere, you're working for the masses? It's noise. They work for the capitalists. That's why the education system will not tell you what capitalism means, because they want you to work for them.
Wow, boss. Some person complains the volume get issues. I beg, ma'am, make sure see, because this live is very special to me. Ma'am, make sure see the volume. It is somehow, and then.
And you think when I put you somewhere, you're working for the masses? It's noise. They work for the capitalists. That's why the education system will not tell you what capitalism means, because they want you to work for them.
I think see the volume. Okay, we'll continue. So, boss Gustav.
Yes.
Now, me and you, and even he, would have almost the same kind of thing. Building community, trying to build this following that can help us build community. But then sometimes I feel like it's challenging. With all the material we person like you to put out, with all the quality information we put person like you to put out, we still realize with people to pay attention to. Me, I'll consider the wrong thing. The wrong thing is actually get the numbers. Do you think now actually because of that same mindset we'll get them, where instead of we will see good in way to way the person we bring up for we no would want maybe look our own way, and then at the end of the day they fail and they always make that bad decision. I don't know if you understand my question. So might repeat the question. most people from the community,
Mm-hmm.
including me, wish make Trump lost election. Now, more than 50% of America decided this is the person we want.
Mm-hmm.
We mean say they see some specific thing about him.
Correct.
We most of we know be the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that same way we community they look people they like Trump?
Mm-hmm.
Now the same way they look people like you in Njoya and
Mm-hmm.
many others where they travel do good things,
Mm-hmm.
but we need to see the crazy numbers where they follow them.
Yes, that is part of it, Toridey. That's a brilliant question, by the way, and a brilliant observation. That is part of it. But let me tell you where the crux of the matter is.
Mhm.
The crux of the matter is, number one, a lot of people want to be entertained, not educated. Okay. And there's a reason, just like Mr. Njoya said, there's a reason why the masses are followers.
Mhm.
Are followers because, number one, they don't take the time to understand how the system works.
Mhm.
They don't take the time to put in the work that it takes. Because nothing changes until your mind can perceive it, your body can never realize it, right? You can say what you want to say. Every time you see somebody achieving something,
Mhm.
instead of creating stories, insulting, learn from them.
Mhm.
Understand why. Right?
Mhm.
If Donald Trump, as president of the US, came back from 2016 and still won, there are things we have to learn from him.
Yeah.
Things like courage,
Yeah.
the ability to stand on what you believe in something.
Yeah.
Most people are like feather. They move like a kite.
Mhm.
They get blown from side to side depending on the direction of the wind. They never stand on what they believe in. And the third thing I want to say is what? The truth of the matter, a lot of people in the immigrant community voted for Donald Trump.
That's true.
Let me tell you that today.
That's true.
And they voted for him. One of the things that unified everybody is the fact that most people, especially people coming from out of America, realize that it is more important for me, for my child to not grow wayward and be told to have 27 different appellations for their sex, than for me to make $1 million. Let me tell you today. The thing where people identified with him a lot is because for the first time, somebody was bold enough to sacrifice the potential to become president, to say we cannot live in a country where liberalism is getting out of control, where we have 27 different appellations for a human being today. Him, her. You go to LinkedIn, they tell you today to put in whether you are he or she or her. Those things are confusing. And worst of all, they are being marketed to young children. To children who have the ability to think for themselves. Think about it this way. There are states in this country where a 13-year-old child can decide that they were born a boy and they want to change to become a girl, and their parents cannot stop them. I want people to understand where Donald Trump came from and why he was voted again. People can say the different things they want to say, but these are some of the fundamentals where an Indian, an African, a Mexican, a Caucasian, a Russian realize, hey, there is a problem. I have 3 beautiful girls. I don't want my daughter plays soccer today. I don't want somebody she's 15, somebody who at the age of 12 was a boy, and today he is a girl or boy, and I'm not sure how to even describe it. Now they're in the same locker room, they're taking showers together and competing on the same team. It's a problem. I am not saying either or. I'm not trying to say it's wrong or whatever. I am just saying that the volume of there have to be some clarity around that space. There have to be some leave and let's leave. For example, I am expressing where I stand on that issue. This can be a source of enmity. This can be a source of controversy. But the fact is, somebody else has the right to express how they want to be. But I don't have the right to say, no, I don't want my daughters to be exposed to that. That is the problem. Right? And that is where Donald Trump started getting a lot of traction in America. Now, from the perspective of our people, right, it is important to understand that the way America functions, the people who spend time understanding how the system works, playing by the rules of the system, are going to always lead the people who want to be entertained. Entertainment is more than enough on social media. I was watching a show the other day, a small clip the other day, where this guy, and I was saying I'm going to share that idea with you, but this guy basically built a photo studio. And one of the studios is like the inside of a private jet. And people are paying him thousands of dollars to take videos and to take pictures in there, right? There are no millionaires yet, but they want to create the perception of a millionaire.
Millionaire.
Meanwhile, the real people who are millionaires are doing the work to become it. There's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us are in a hurry to create a perception as if we're already succeeding.
Yeah.
Success doesn't speak. Success is in action. Success is in what you do. So now when you talk about the question you asked me, our people need to understand that the way this country is designed, today Donald Trump is the president. There are some things he can do. There are a lot of things he cannot do. I heard people were very worried. He said he was going to stop citizenship from birth and things like that. Donald Trump is a salesman par excellence. He can sell even ice in North Pole. He can sell sand to some guy in the desert in Morocco, where he has abundance. The truth of the matter is, when you think now, if you are just relying on entertainment, you will get worked up, your emotions will start getting all fired up, you start thinking, is this crazy guy? But if you don't only want to be entertained, but you want to be educated, you too will start doing your own research. But can this guy just change the American Constitution like that? No. Because this thing is enshrined in the Constitution. Yes, he has the House and he has the Senate. Is it that easy to change it? What are the chances? Then you start realizing that I'm being worked up for nothing. Right? You're talking about deportation. People are getting worked up. Donald Trump is going to know. In recent history, in fact, not recent history, the statistics are there. Obama has deported more people from America than any president in 1 year. Second, by that, he was 214,000, I think. Second is Joe Biden. The statistics are there. Now you can get worked up because Donald Trump said that emotionally, yeah, Trump, bad guy. But you are forgetting that whatever you think is the better guys are doing worse.
They did worse.
Under the guise that they keep manipulating your emotions. They keep manipulating how you feel about these things. They keep creating some entertainment around it. When it's time for election, and for the record, I'm not a Republican or a Donald Trump supporter or anything. I'm just a person who decided that I'm no longer going to get entertained. I want to be educated. During elections, they will bring entertainers to come and be talking on the platform where they know most Black people look up to. Our role models should not be entertainers. They shouldn't be basketball players. Those are not the people who are going to change communities. They are the people who are going to change communities, entrepreneurs and creators and people who are building companies and inventing things. I am not disrespecting sports, but think about it this way. In the NFL, every year they draft 300 players out of 12,000 college players, sir. What is your possibility of becoming an NFL player relative to becoming a cardiologist? You are better off going to become a cardiologist. You are better off going to set up a business. You have a higher chance to succeed on that business than playing that thing. I'm not saying it's not good either. I'm just saying, as a people, we need to start understanding what is happening to the game, what is going on. Communities are not built by entertainment. If communities could be built mostly by entertainment, Congo will be the #1 country in the world. Nobody has talent to play music and entertain people like Congo. That's the truth of the matter. Communities are built by companies. And I invest in the stock market, and I teach people how to invest for profit and to invest in themselves for growth and to build lasting legacies. Let me tell you something. I know companies on that stock market. Last week, for example, a quantum computing company, these are companies that are coming up because quantum computing is the next layer of it. Since we have AI today, AI is generating a lot of data, and that data needs to be mined and researched and produced in a way that it makes sense for decision makers. Regular computers can no longer handle that. GPU-based computers are getting small. So there's the new breed of computers now called quantum computers. This quantum computer company is a small company, less than $100 million in market capital. Last week, that company left from $3 to $25. We are there getting entertained while somebody is buying 1,000 shares for $3,000, and 5 days later, they are $25,000 richer. And then you're telling me here, sitting here at 47 years old, having lived in America this long, understanding how the system works, that I should be worried about entertainment. I should be worried about some emotional things that Donald Trump says. I am not worried about that. I'm worried about how to play the game on the platform. He's going to manage a platform for 4 years, and after that, he's going to shake the hand of the next person coming and say, "Thank America for your."
You know what baffles me? Biden even shook his hand and said, "Welcome back." I was like, "What's that miss up with?" Say, "Well,
these guys are never enemies."
I'm telling you.
You know, just to buttress what he's talking about. I mean, I tell people all the time, most of us, our problem is about, immigration, no work, come down. He just give you the numbers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Democrats have exported more people in this country than the Republicans.
Wow.
Donald Trump is a talker. He will talk. He will say this. He will say that.
Yeah.
Look at this. We're talking about children. My children go to school. These children go to school. They have told them. I mean, today you cannot call a child. A child has to determine, just like he said.
Mm-hmm.
Why would a child have to determine? Before we realize, we'll find ourselves into bestiality because of freedom. We'll find ourselves into bestiality. Somebody has to stop it. Somebody has to stop it. If you don't know it, look at your children today. Look at the way children. I mean, somebody has to stop this madness. This madness. And I think that is something that this guy is talking about. Look at people. You're talking about key people. When you go and bring the Beyoncés and these people to come and dance, who cares about Beyonce? When Elon Musk stands, we know that we can see value. It's a job creator. He said this, he said that, he said that, he said that. We're talking today about, while we're talking about reducing taxes on this other side, the other people are saying that, no, we should add taxes. Let me tell you something about, we should add taxes. Let me tell you something. Value creation in America is not dependent on taxes. Value creation in America is not dependent on taxes. If you're sitting out there and you're thinking that it's your taxes that build America, taxes do not build America. Taxes have not built America. We are in the same slavery that we were before. 99% of us are found in slavery. We are all called the middle class. The middle class is a group of slaves. We are called white-collar slaves. Historically, what happened? They used to come and pull us from Africa by force to come and work here. Do you think when that thing ended, everything ended?
They had a new plan.
They
had a better plan.
Now they make us, we are excited to come to America. We come to America and then we go through a system we go through education. We are being trained how to become the best set of employees, to work for the top 1%. We are being trained to work for the top 1%. And when you work for the top 1%, guess what? All the bills of the government are paid by the middle class. They are the ones paying all the taxes in the government. We know, and nobody tells you this, your wealth is in the tax code. Your wealth is in that tax code. What you need to be studying and thinking about is, now that I've made all this money, when you make money, and this is important, I talk about this all the time, you make money in America, you go to school, you come out, you're a surgeon, you're a superstar, whatsoever, you make $500,000, $1 million, your tax. Let's say you are in California, you pay state tax for almost 13%. And then you pay federal tax for 37% because you're in the highest.
You're already at 50%.
That's 50% of your income.
So
without
counting
without counting another thing.
Wow.
$500,000. All those are people we see, surgeon, this, IT superstar.
And people will cut it. They actually budget you now on that 1 million.
Yes. And then the game is that somebody comes and says, we want to increase more taxes. Donald Trump is saying something. And if you look at what happened during the last 4 years of Donald Trump, he's saying something. I mean, I don't care about Donald Trump's way of thinking. Not his way of thinking. I don't care about his person. I don't care about what he says. What he says, you see Elon Musk will say exactly the same thing. You go to the next billionaire, they will say exactly the same thing. That's the mindset. Is that what I came here for? No. And then the fundamentals, I don't need somebody to destroy. But the key is that if you are giving 50% of your income to taxes, is that not slavery?
Man.
That's white-collar slavery.
Man.
That's exactly white-collar slavery. This guy is saying that, no, we don't want to do that anymore. The Tax Cut and Jobs Act that was enacted during his first term, it created a lot of money in the small sector. America is governed by small businesses.
True.
When you start a small business and you start, before people know it, just the taxes that they are all stuck in, makes them, there are companies that are falling today. On my platform, I see people who are they start businesses in our community. They never knew that they were going to get something called self-employment tax, this tax. Before you know it, when you start making money, you just find yourself in a place where you start carrying the tax from 1 year to the other to the next year. Before you know it, bankruptcy is because of the tax bill. It's because of the tax bill. So what we're saying is that in as much as this guy is going, first of all, he's going to bring back, he just said it and he repeated it on first 100 days. All those things about tax cuts, they are coming back because they were already dying down. In 2026, they were all going to go away. We are not in the market. What has created the inflation that people are fighting about is not because of jobs. Jobs have gone up. People are getting jobs. But the point is, what type of jobs are we getting? What type of jobs?
That's the question.
What type of jobs are we
Nobody
getting?
asked that. A former IT guy is now working in some fast food.
Yes.
And that's a job.
So
you leave from 100,000, you're making 50 grand, that's a job.
So the key is, guys, we need to spend time, come back to the basics and understand how this system works. And I'm going to tell you again, the system is very easy. The system is most of us, whoever we're working with as our financial advisors, they don't have a clue about how the system works. Whether they are CPAs, I am a CPA. I'm not here to bash any. Whether they are CPAs, whether they're financial advisors, they don't have a clue about how the system works. If you come to this system, the top 1%, they don't work with CPAs. They work with what you call family office. They work with strategists. And what is the goal? The goal is that if you look at your income statement, in our communities, most of our guys are middle income guys. Some of them $500,000. If you make $500,000, and many of them are watching us, you make $500,000, you're going to pay married filing joint without a kid or with a kid, you're going to pay almost $200,000 in taxes. $200,000 in tax. The tax code tells you that. We want you to build America. We want you to build America.
Not your America.
How do you build America? The way you build America, most people say, oh, the top 1%, those guys don't pay taxes. Instead of asking, what do they do not to pay taxes? We are concentrated on saying they should pay their fair share. Ask people, what is fair share? What does it mean? So the gain, if you're paying $200,000 in taxes, there's nothing on your income statement which is bigger than the taxes you pay, unless you are evading taxes. And when you evade taxes, know that it's going to catch you somewhere. You find yourself in jail because of that. So basically, if you do your taxes normally for a guy who earns $500,000, you should be paying about $200,000 in taxes. So now, if the guy who is the top 1%, the tax code is inherently, your wealth is not in the income. It is in the taxes you pay. It is in the tax code.
Correct.
When we say America, the government has nothing. The only thing they do that rules all of us is the tax code. 99% of the people we work with, CPAs, 99% of them have not read the tax code. The tax code is there to help you build wealth. The tax code is the wealth building machine for the wealthy. Let me tell you an example. If you made $500,000, you save $200,000, you put it as a down payment of a property, you're going to get at least $1 million worth of property. And what the tax code says is that you take that property and then you can wipe off all your ordinary income with, and then you pay zero in taxes. Yeah. What does that mean? When you listen to that, that is the American dream. That is the American dream. Wealth doesn't pay taxes.
Yeah.
Wealth does not pay taxes.
Income does.
Income. Anything you work like a farmer. You used to come here and work in the cotton farm. Anything you work like a farmer, you're going to pay every penny in taxes.
And W2.
So wealth doesn't pay taxes. Income pays taxes. So if wealth doesn't pay taxes, so basically we're making $1 million. The day we retire, you see the guy who was making $1 million, he's like a puppet. He doesn't understand because he was relying on Social Security. Social Security, the maximum you get is $34,000 a year. He was relying.
No matter how rich you were.
Yes. That's the highest you get from Social Security. And Social Security, in addition, is a Ponzi scheme. What's a Ponzi scheme? Nobody has an account in Social Security. No human being. Nobody in America has an account. You're just putting there inside a bucket. And the people who are eating the money are the people who are now on retirement. It means that as the population goes down and people are working less, they are not contributing to Social Security. Our own time will not have anything. That's why they say Social Security will disappear.
No, Mr. Njoya, hang on a second. I think you...
So this is crazy. And then you think most of us, we want to, if you ask many people, many of our communities, they're thinking about benefits.
Yeah.
I want to work for the government. I want to work for this. The government only employs 1%, 1 to 2% of the population.
Yeah.
1 to 2%. So if the government doesn't employ people and the government wants to grow the economy and it doesn't own the things to grow the economy, the government doesn't have real estate. We were downtown today. The government doesn't own any of those properties. The government doesn't own even the land. When they develop the land, they push it to the private equity.
Mm-hmm.
You see all those skyscrapers there, they are owned by private equity. The roads are owned by private equity. Everything is owned by private equity. So if the private equity are the ones doing your life, they're the ones employing you. The government needs to give you incentive to do that because the government needs that.
Mm-hmm.
The government, if the government doesn't give me incentive to hire people, why would I hire people? If the government doesn't give me incentives to buy property, commercial property, why would I buy them? So the government tells you that the tax code has all these things. If you do these things, you get the tax credit, you get tax deduction, Section 179, you get opportunity zones, you get EV credit. You have all this slew of credits that are available to you if you do those things that make you wealthy. You don't ever see someone where you get property, they turn a poor man.
I like the way you switch your pigeon.
They have.
Boss, but
that is America for us. We come here instead of looking at America and taking advantage of that America. America tells you, build wealth, we are going to make you money. So you, instead of doing that, you sit here and complain he should pay his fair share. Is that not matter? We should think.
We were running with that for more than how many years? Boss, I want to ask you, what is the way forward?
I think the way forward, a couple of things. You know, I always say assets, assets and private enterprise. Now, when I talk about that, I know a lot of times people think, well, we're anti-jobs or maybe we don't like people working for others. No, that's not the point. In fact, most people will leave, make money, become successful and die working for other people. But along that, you must always have a business of your own on the side, which has a lot of tax benefits like Mr. Njoya talked. That's a conversation he can handle. But I think the way forward is simple, right? The only way you get to assets is simple. Mindset first, plus tool sets, plus skill set. What it means is, of course, we've talked about mindset extensively. The second thing is skill set. What is the skill you can bring to the marketplace? A lot of people, 90% of people work in jobs that are totally opposite from their naturally innate and gifted skill. That's why at 9 a.m. in the morning, statistically given, more people have more people have heart attacks at 9 a.m. on Monday morning than any other time. The reason why is because most likely they wake up, they're getting ready, and the heart tells them,
you don't want to go to work, but it feels like you're compelled to go there.
The heart says, I've had enough. Stop it. Hey, boom. You're in the hospital, right? So the second thing, skill set. What is that skill you bring? One of the beautiful things about America, and I never fail to say this, right? We love where we come from, but one of the things that makes America unique, other than any other country in the world, is that everybody has room to become extremely successful. When I say successful, I mean extremely successful. The other day I was doing a little podcast video recording with the person who has been mowing my lawn for 9 years today.
Wow.
10 years actually since I moved to Austin. And this gentleman is a guy out of Mexico. English very shaky, right?
I mean, it was the one that didn't even talk English.
Correct.
From what man? I tell he wear that the April man. He tell he that. He say speak this, no speak.
I just think the Spanish customers, right? When I moved to Austin 10 years ago, this gentleman, I saw him on, at that time they had this online thing where you go find jobs, find handymen, I forget, Craigslist.
Craigslist, yeah.
I met him on Craigslist and invited him. He came, he mowed my lawn the first time, and I decided we're going to roll together. So he'll come and mow my lawn 2 times a month, right? And I'll give him $120. Then he started at about 60. Now we're up to 120. And do you know, at that time, he used to have an old Ford 150. One of the tires was lower than the other one, so he would be driving as if it's a deer with 3 legs, right? And fast forward to the 10 years today from then, that same gentleman still mows my lawn where I live. In my community, he has a contract for 600 homes. He has 4 teams. And only one team takes care of my community. They come to my house, 20 minutes maximum, they are done. One person is with the big mower, the other one is with the weeder. Over with, they're done. That's 120. 600 home in my community. Let's do $100 a home. Times 600, that's almost $60,000 a month. He has 4 teams that do that. Average those 4 teams, even at 40,000, that is 204 times 12, that's 24, right? No, 16. That's $160,000 a month. At the end of 12 months, it's over $2 million. You take the cost of business and all of that. This guy doesn't have a high school education. He doesn't speak English. He doesn't even understand all these complicated dynamics we're talking. I'm the one telling him about taxes. I'll be referring him to you to help him and all of it. He doesn't understand this. All he understands is that there is an opportunity in this land, and the skill set that I have, if I apply my skills diligently, consistently over time, it's going to deliver me value. The other guy stops in front of my house once every 2 months to wash my trash can. He brings a big truck, parks it in the front of the house on Thursdays, on Fridays when the trash comes out. Immediately the trash man picks it, he picks up my can, puts it, the thing is a crane. He attaches the can, puts it in the back, you hear water, 5 to 10 minutes, he's done, he puts it down, he's gone. I pull him on the side, I say, bro, I like this business you're doing. What's up with this business? He says, no, he started it about 6 years ago. I said, how many clients do you have? He says he has about 420 clients. I said, how many teams? He says he has two. He has two of these trucks. I said, how much money do you make a month? He says, well, I mean, I'm not going to go into details, but I mean, through this business, I've been doing for about 6 years. Through this business, I have 10 rental properties now. I mean, my house is paid for. My child goes to UT, I pay. So you do the math. You do your own extrapolation. But one of the powerful things that happens, just like Mr. Njoya said, is that yes, there are people who are employed and they're making equally as much money, even more. But the difference is that it's coming on a W-2 paycheck. That's where the tax hits you. These guys are doing private businesses. That car he's driving, he's deducting it. All those things, right? So skill set, that's the second thing after mindset. What skill do you bring to the marketplace? What can you do? What can you deliver value with? The third thing, tool set. What are the tools that are available that you can use? Today, by the fact that I decided, okay, I was going to spend the rest of my life walking around, educating people, right? Helping people to teach them how to invest in themselves for personal growth, to invest for assets and profit on the stock market, and to build a legacy. I started also focusing around building videos and building my YouTube channel and all of that. And I get to realize that these things have been, there are tools out there that you take a long form video, you put it cuts it into shots for you. It does all these different things. Tools set, there are tools out there. Now, when you take your mindset, you take your skill set, the next thing you try to identify, what are the tools that I can leverage? What are the tools that I can use to multiply these two assets, these two skills, and these two key things I already have, so that the results will be phenomenal for me, and the results now becomes assets. So the way forward, number one, is we must educate ourselves. We must stop being entertained. We must stop. A few months ago, there was a video of some guy in Equatorial Guinea. That stuff has like 100 million views. But how many people are online today watching us? This guy is talking about the secret of wealth in America through the tax code. He's giving this free. This man charges $30,000 for his services, sirs and madams listening to us. How many people are there listening and taking notes? Nobody. And we expect to be successful, right? So here is the deal. Number one, we have to be educated. We have to understand where the game is being played, what is happening. Number two, every person, especially people coming into this country from another country, must have a business. I was doing a study this morning, preparing for this show, and I was watching a guy out of Clark Atlanta University, one of the top professors in America. He's called Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. Dr. Dennis Kimbrough is the one who was handed the manuscript for Think and Grow Rich by the writer of the Think and Grow Rich. His foundation called him and handed him the manuscript to do a version of that manuscript for Black people. So he has a book called, amongst many books he has, but one of his most celebrated books is called Think and Grow Rich, the Black Wealth Multiplier or something like that. And he said something very important. He did extensive research over 30 years, and he identified 7 industries where Black millionaires and billionaires have made their money from. What's the first one? Real estate. That's the first industry. The second one, franchising. And we're not talking here about McDonald's. We're not talking about Burger King. We're talking about franchising for garage doors, franchising for car washes, franchising to change bulbs in the house, painting franchises, how to paint houses, how to repair cars, franchising to provide tools. Do you know most mechanic shops don't own the tools they use? They have companies that lease them to them.
Wow.
The third one, technology industry, where most people are trying to go into today. But we're going into the technology industry only thinking of becoming employees. How about we create technology companies? Number 4, social media marketing. Number 5.
I beg no shut that one. I think get competitors a smooth.
Number 5, construction. The construction business, land development, land sales. I have my sister out there in Atlanta, Delphine. Delphine is doing magic. This is a young lady out of Cameroon, came to the US, has dealt with a lot of struggles, and she opened a business in real estate, started selling houses. Today, she's a real estate developer. She's developing, buying land, developing it, building homes, selling them for $2 million, $3 million. Last year, I met her at a fundraiser in Washington, D.C., and she could easily look at what they are doing and say, I like what you're doing. I support your project. Here is $25,000. That is what we are talking about. That is what me and Mr. Njoya drove from Austin and Houston to come and talk about today. We didn't come today to be talking about small stuff.
Yeah.
We didn't come today to be talking about getting entertained. If you want to get entertained,
go somewhere else.
Go watch
Yeah.
ESPN, go watch your EPL. I don't watch EPL. I have no time for that. I don't. Because I am 47 years old. I have barely 10 years to make $55 million. I have no time for all of that stuff. Not because it's not important, not because I don't like to watch Baleba. But those are the things that still, right? And the 7th, the seat industry. After construction is the fifth. The sixth, nursing homes and assisted living. Nursing homes and assisted living. Okay? Because most people, especially people from out of the US, want to be in nursing homes and assisted living that are owned and run by people who understand their culture, who understand where they're coming from. And today, a lot of people have those challenges. Our parents are here in America for most homes. Out of every 5 Cameroonian or African home, you see 2 of them will have a parent. Those parents are getting old. Some of them are even in assisted living. Are they in assisted living where they can connect with their culture? Are they in assisted living where they learn where they keep playing draft, which is something that will keep the father's brain working again? Are they in assisted living where the mothers do knitting and different things? These are opportunities sitting in front of us, right? The 7th industry is the food and beverage industry. But there's a reason why that is the 7th. And it's not the first. The reason why it's the 7th is just to tell you that, yes, it also features on that list. But a lot of our big focus is around that area. If you've noticed the growth in, lounges and things like that. It's good too. But the reason why I did this research to come and share on this podcast today is so people understand. I'm not only saying you should create businesses, but I'm also educating you on what areas you can create the business in. I have identified where my gift is. I have identified where my skill set is. Mr. Njoya has identified where his gift is. He's identified where his skill set. You have done. If you're out there looking for a business, those are the industries which has produced the most black millionaires and billionaires in America over the next 30 years. So if you want to be one of them, if you want to be one of those they look up to and say you are not paying your own fair share of taxes, then you have to figure out a way to get in there.
This is amazing you're talking about that, because I tell my clients.
I'm excited when I'm talking. When I don't even know. I'm about to tell you something. I think the other day I was driving. We came to Austin, and then from Austin we go Houston.
Correct.
And then the person I say, all the time we don't tell. So you want to go Houston? Yes. I'm like, if you understand, understand. And I keep telling people the best thing that happened for my life now starting Toridey. The group of people who I don't talk to, what I talk to every now and then.
Yeah.
I sit sometimes and I just shake my head and say, well, I don't know if you know, boss.
I mean, I just want this, all what he's talking, this is so much value that's been given for free. So much value that's been given for free. And I say this, let me tell you something. I tell my clients all the day. And like he's saying, we come and sit here and we talk about these things. People don't want to listen. But the reality is that people pay us a lot of money to listen to what we're talking about, to just for us to guide them. I tell my clients all the time, I tell them that, look, this country, number one, whatever you do, wealth, to build wealth, there are 3 stages of building wealth. There are 3 stages. Number one, you have to generate income. If you're not generating income, don't
Just
talk to me. You have to generate income. Because when you generate income, that's when you can multiply. Today we were out there. I was telling you something about the power of compounding.
Yeah.
The power of
The eighth
compounding.
wonder in the world.
The power of compounding. So basically, think about this. It's very hard to make your first $100,000. Very, very hard. But focus on making that first $100,000. Because once you make that, it becomes very easy to make the first $1 million. Very easy. And when you hit the first $1 million, it's very, very easy to make the next 10. Very, very
Take
easy.
shorter time.
Why?
Wow.
Because of the power of compounding. That's number one. Number two, and we can talk about that. If you want to know more about that, I've talked about that. There's a lot of material. You can go to my website. We'll talk about that. The second thing I wanted to talk about, what he was talking about. I tell my clients that in addition, when I was talking about those three things. So income generation, whether you're out there, you're struggling, you're doing what, as long as you're not generating income, there are so many ways in America to make you generate income. So many ways. We come here most of the time. Again, people are not watching us, but people go and see 90% of our community, they're sitting on TikTok. They're watching, scrolling. I mean, you can become a wealthy man on TikTok just by doing. I mean, people want to see people sitting. Kim Kardashian, where they make their money? By just sitting and talking about their lifestyle day to day. We have so much to read that we can put on our own platforms. And then be talking about our own lifestyle, and many people will be watching them. Nigerians have seen that, and Nigerians are taking, and not even the Nigerians who are here, Nigerians who are back in Nigeria. So when you have a phone, just that phone, you have a tool to make money. You don't have a tool to become an accompaniment to people's making money. You have a tool to make money. You have a phone, you have internet. That's everything for you to make $1 million, to make millionaires. That's number one. He was talking about building platforms. Building platforms is one of the biggest things. You see all those small boys who are talking every day, we're watching them. All of them are millionaires. All of those boys are millionaires. Those small boys, all of them are millionaires. Why? Because they saw value in having a phone and having internet, and they brought people together to make money out of it. So you have to generate income. And generating income, once you're making income, either as a W-2, the next thing you want to have a side gig. That side gig is going to help you build. And I was telling you this morning that if people, one of the biggest things that's holding us from growing is fear. Fear is the number one factor that we don't win. Number one. Most people, when they get that first job that's paying $70,000, and then they start taking care of 3 people, their fear is that this money, if it goes, I'm dead. But you do it until the day you fall sick, and then that's the end of it. Because the day you fall sick, you lose your house, you lose everything.
The job is still standing.
Yes. So somehow, some people should be fired. People need to be fired to start thinking. Because when your back is at the wall, then you start thinking that with my phone like that, I can make money out of the phone. And before you know it, you realize that things are happening for you that you didn't even know. So once you make income, then now you can start buying assets. The problem we have is that we buy the wrong assets. We buy liabilities in places of assets.
True.
We acquire liabilities all the time. You see, I see that in my office. People come to me. You see a guy who just started, he just came out of school, or maybe he just did a plan, and he's earning $100,000 a year. Excited. So now, instead of going to buy that house for $300,000 or $200,000, he wants to amend his taxes so that he can get that house that he's dreaming of for almost $1 million.
He just wants to get into the $1 million house right away.
He wants to get to that $1 million.
On the 10% worth salary.
Yes.
And a job where you can be fired next month. For nothing you do wrong. You don't even own your destiny.
So he wants to get that. And then the problem we have, I tell people all the time, he wants to buy that crazy car. He wants to buy that $1 million house. When you buy a house, a home is a liability. A home is a liability.
I agree.
Anything that takes money away from you is a liability. The home is the biggest money chopper. You realize that there are people in our communities who have homes, they cannot sit in the home because if they sit in the home for 10 minutes, they will not pay the mortgage and the home is gone. So they are stuck in that liability. So basically, once you make income, One of the biggest decisions is how do I start acquiring assets?
Yes.
It's called in-asset accumulation.
Yes.
How do I accumulate my assets? Most people, they don't accumulate assets, they accumulate liabilities, and then they are stuck in the rat race. You're stuck in that thing that you get going round because you work very hard, you take the money, it's gone. You're working to survive. You're basically working to pay bills. Wealthy people don't work to pay bills. Broke people work to pay bills. Broke people work primarily to pay bills. And they pay bills to who? To the wealthy people. Why? Because that property, I tell people easily that the wealthy people own the banks. Middle class put their money in the banks. Assets are owned by wealthy people. So if you took that money, that income that you made, and you made proper asset accumulation, you acquired the proper assets. The first thing you should worry about when you start making money is, number one, how do I multiply my sources of income?
Cool.
How do I multiply my sources of income? Houses is not one of them. Your home is not one of
That's
them.
not one.
Your home is going to make you die in a rat race. The home, the car, you buy those things. If you bought that home, instead of going to stay there, and then you put it on rental in a particular environment, that house will be worth, it will be an
More.
asset.
Mr. Njoya,
And then, yes, and then,
finish.
yes,
I think
the third part of it, now once you start acquiring assets the right way, then you can now think about, you have to protect those assets.
Yes.
Because all of us are, 99% of us, we are all exposed. Exposed. There's something called a trust in our community. It's not in our community because our community people don't care. They don't know about trust. They believe that it belongs to the wealthy. It's the top 1%. And the people who own trust, they don't even know what type of trust they own. Because somebody told them about the trust. I see people come to my office with all sorts of trust. They are all like this, different trusts. And none of them is meeting the requirements of the person. So asset protection also means that you have to protect yourself by tax avoidance, not tax evasion. Because many of us, we evade taxes all the time. Some CPA tells you somewhere, oh, don't show that income, because if you show that income, is going to pay you tax. You're going to pay taxes. That is called tax evasion. And tax evasion is a crime.
It's a crime.
You go to jail because of tax evasion. But on the contrary, showing your income makes you wealthy. Showing your income. This is capitalism. Nobody gives money to a broke person. Even in our own families, you give money more to the guy who has more money than the
It is
person.
show no. It is show. We don't get died of what some person don't get die. We see the money they raise up with that man, other man dies. Other man get your own die the next week. We see the money we raise up with it. The man come in them say, Baba, we need for us. I say, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So those things are critical. They are very critical. And I mean, he said something that I wanted to interject on it. There is something about building. There is something about, I've forgotten, but I'm going to go about those things. So you can add what you were talking about.
No, absolutely. I think you hit something very capital and important: assets, right? And how to get to assets. You talked about some of the social challenges, which not only people coming into America from other countries struggle, Americans in general. Just because America, number one, is a capitalist society, it makes money out of people providing services and selling products. So the sales machine of America is very powerful. So sometimes people get caught in that mindset and not being able to postpone present enjoyment for future gains.
Yes.
But I learned something 2 years ago, and why I talk a lot about education and knowledge is because that is really what unlocks everything here.
Yeah.
I learned something from a guy. He's called Remit. I forget his other name. He has a book called "I Will Teach You How to Be Rich," and Remit lives in New York. Right? He rents a 3-bedroom apartment in New York. And he says a lot of times when his friends come around, even some clients he coaches, they come around and he invites them to his house for lunch. They come to his apartment, they're always surprised. Remit, you're worth like 75 million. Why don't you have a big mansion too in Queens or somewhere in New York? And Remit simply responds with a smile face on his face because he knows exactly how they're going to feel. Like he's renting, he's a bummer. Why should you be renting? If you say you're rich, the story that has been sold in America for years is that the American dream is owning a house. If you don't own a house, it means you haven't arrived. If you don't own a house, it means you're not doing well. But the key thing is, what is the
the cost of owning the house, especially at that point in your life.
Yes.
Is it really the best option for you? So Remy explained in very simple terms. He said when he did his math, he would be spending about $3,000 more owning a home than renting a home. Number one. But most importantly, and this is really where I want people to understand what I'm saying before we go out and start making statements that don't make sense. What I'm saying is that the most important thing first is to determine what is it you want. What is it that gives you joy, satisfaction, and a feeling
What
of
is your
accomplishment?
apple?
What
is your
your
apple?
What is it you are looking for? Because here is
And
the
then
deal.
you focus on it. You focus on that
that
apple.
thing. Because here's the deal, Toridey. The numbers are out there. It is very clear. Somebody will tell you, oh, you know what? No, this house my grandma bought in 1987 for $60,000. Today that house is worth $500,000. Fine and good. But what they're not really telling you is that house they've changed the AC 4 times at 25,000 a pop. That's 75,000. They're not telling you maintenance costs and all of those things. The same amount of money, I tell a lot of my clients I coach when they come to me, and I share to them, I'm no financial advisor or anything. I share my experiences, and you can take it or you can leave it. I say, listen, just like Mr. Njoya said, these are things I didn't even understand when I came to America. I lived with my friend in Minnesota, Elvis, for 6 years. What we should have done, we should have just bought a duplex. We live in one and we're renting one. And after we're ready to go get married, we put the other one on rent and we go ahead and get married to wherever we're going to, right? Sometimes, so you have to understand the different timing in your life, where you are and why you need to buy a house. You can still get the experience of living in a home by renting. Renting is not a bad thing. And then you can invest the difference because it's been proven that over the last 100 years of the market, the S&P 500, for example, runs between 8 to 12%. And that's very conservative. But realistically, sometimes it goes up to 15, 20%, right? It's been proven clearly by no doubtable means that a $100,000 down payment on a home in 20 years would have produced more in the S&P 500 than in the increase in value of that home. It is very simple. When you increase all those other mathematical deductions of repairs and all that thing. So one of the things I learned from Remit was that. But here's the second important thing that guy said, and it blew my mind. Oh my God. He said this, Mr. Njoya. He said, one of his mentors told him when he started his journey on wealth building, he told him that the most important question is you ask yourself, every day you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, who is making money off me being alive? Simple question. It might sound very egotistic, it might sound very selfish, but think about it this way. You wake up in the morning, I'll take somebody like myself. I wake up in the morning, number one, I'm waking up from a bed I bought from a Child and Something Furniture in Austin. So the owners of Child and Something stock have made money from that bed. The mattress I got from mattress, whatever, right? I get down on my knees. I usually pray for a few minutes. I wake up, I go to my bathroom. I pick up my Sensodyne. Sensodyne is owned by one of these consumer companies, right? I finish brushing my teeth in my Sensodyne. I go say I want to have breakfast. I take Starbucks. I finish eating and drinking my Starbucks coffee. I go into my office. I open my Dell computer, right? But here is the deal. Nothing wrong with that. We need all those things. But here is where my thinking completely flipped. Do I own a share of those companies that I'm using on a daily basis? So they are making money off me, and I have no way of making money off myself. Hallelujah. From that day, I started understanding how the game is played in America. So I tell a lot of clients I coach, it's nothing complicated. Don't even start thinking of anything exotic. Just think about some of the things you use on a daily basis. Make sure that iPhone you are using and taking pictures at parties, iPhone Pro Max, do you have a share of Apple? You have Samsung Flip. It has the best camera in the world. You can take videos looking handsome and nice. Do you have a share of Samsung? Do you own Microsoft? Do you own Tesla? Do you own Toyota? Do you own Mercedes? And how do you think on God's earth that you could make it there? Because it starts with the understanding of how these things work. When people talk about wealth, a lot of times people are very quick to think wealth is only money. It's not only about money. Money is actually the third form of wealth. The first form of wealth is what? The first form of wealth is knowledge. Knowledge is the first. The second is work habits. how you work,
Yeah.
how you show up every day, like Mr. Njoya does, like you do, like I do. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning.
He said, "Man, go comb my hair before the statue."
You understand?
Yeah.
You have the third one is what? Money now.
Yeah.
Money is multiple streams of income, just like you said.
Yeah.
There is no reason anybody should have one stream of income.
Yeah.
You got to figure out other ways. The fourth is contacts, networking, who you know, and it's not only who you know, but what you know about who you know. Right? The fifth thing is creativity. What is it you have? What can you create? What ideas you have? The sixth thing is persistence, the ability to chop fire, as they say in Cameroon. Hang in there, hang in there.
Donald Trump chop fire.
So that is
Donald
I was gonna say something. He
Trump.
chops fire, but
Donald,
I wanna ask
she don't
something.
for cut, so he said, "We'll finish the fufu
Yes.
today."
He said something that is critical. You know, my definition, I tell people all the time that wealth is your ability to have money, to access money. Your ability to access money is wealth. Not the amount of money you have, not the income you make, not the this, not the that. Wealthy people can access money all the time. They're wealthy.
Wow.
They can access your ability. All these things, they sum up, they give you that ability to make money. And now the ability, are you paying taxes on money? No, you don't pay taxes on money.
Questions and answers.
And then the second thing I was going to tell you is that you brought something that we call the mega trends.
Mm-hmm.
If you're thinking about investing today, always think, what are the mega trends?
Yeah.
Where is the world going? I tell clients that if you want to invest, to invest, you have to invest in mega trends.
Mhm.
What are mega trends? Mega trends are those things that the world cannot live without.
Mhm.
Simple as that. If you stop them today, the world ends. And if you think about them, things like IT,
Mhm.
the world cannot live without IT. And when you start thinking about things like quantum, all those new things that are coming into IT,
AI.
anything that is new, put your money there, forget about it for 15 years.
Tell me where.
Anything that you hear that is new in the mega trend and it's making waves, put your money there and forget about it. Put $2,000 there. If you had put $2,000 in Amazon when it started, you would have stopped working many years ago. So mega trends, you think about IT. The second thing you're thinking about, when you think about healthcare, you're thinking about things like pharmaceuticals. Why? Because when a new drug comes on, there's something that's there are all these new drugs that are coming up. When you start seeing them, if a pharmaceutical company is just making like this and you think that there's a trend there, put your money there and sleep. Because when they explode, they get crazy. Another thing is renewable energy. Whether you think what, renewable energy is something, all these other things that we're using for energy are going to deplete. Renewable energy is going to be there. And that is the trend today. If there's something around a renewable energy company that's starting, you want to think about it, and then you can throw some money there. And then you think about things like today, fashion. Have you heard of fashion?
Mm-hmm.
You see how these guys are dressed? You see how fancy we are? Fashion is key. The wealthiest person who has been fighting with Elon Musk is a fashion guy. This man, I know they call it
He owns Louis Vuitton, all these brands, all the
fashion is another place where you just put money in. So you think about all the different things he talks about where Africans have made money. Those are the basic things that we think about putting ourselves in there, but also investing in the mega trends. When you think about mega trends, put your money there, forget. Many of us, you go out for one evening, you spend $1,000, and then you have some chicks around, and then you are the guy, you're hanging around, you're doing this. If you took that $1,000 that you just spent that night, and put it in one of those things, forget it. 15 years. I tell people, most of us are not as sophisticated as some of us here to go and think about trading in the stock market. If you don't know about trading, go and look for something that's happening. Like what he just said, you put your money there, forget about it. It's not about short term because you don't have the ability to do that. Do the long-term bit and then forget about it. And then just watch.
You make Mr. Njoya, you make a very powerful point, right? And one of the beautiful things is that's one of the areas of really my expertise. And you make something very powerful. You talk about just putting money into some of these trends. So there's a company called NVIDIA Probably some people have heard about Nvidia. When Nvidia came with its IPO in 99, if you had invested $1,000 today, you'd be worth $2.8 million without doing nothing, just by the very good. And I don't say that out of fancy. I say that because I know 6 years ago I bought for my daughter less than one share of Nvidia, a fractional share of Nvidia. Today it's over $2,500. That's about 4 years ago. I was just trying to teach her how to invest, what it means. I checked it the other day. I hadn't checked it in years. I opened it was 2,500 for less than a whole share over the years, right? So what that really means is that it's very simple. Where you build wealth,
long term, they don't lose. You go long term.
The wealth, which is money, where you build it in America is simple. It's in 3 places, and in most parts of the world, it can apply to. Number one, by creating a business. That's the number one wealth builder. Creating a business of your own. And I'm not saying this out of feelings. It's what the statistics say. Number 2 is the US stock market. 100 years of data is available. The market is always going up over the long term. Number 3 is in real estate. Now, there's a very important difference that people need to understand. Because again, just like I said earlier at the beginning, a lot of people, because they like to get entertained, they get into all this emotional embroglio. They get to that emotional state where they're always chasing something that is happening. They hear this thing, they think it makes sense. Today, you hear a lot of people reach out to me and say, hey, Mr. Achu, I want you to teach me how to trade. No, don't trade on the stock market. Don't trade. 99% of traders lose. What you need to be is an investor, a long-term investor. You buy a simple ETF. You buy a simple stock. You just keep buying and forget it. If you don't have $2,000 to start buying, today you can buy fractional shares, which means you don't need the whole cost of that share. You can set automatic purchases. I have companies. I have companies
Whenever
I
your
buy.
pay is coming,
they just take it.
It's just take it.
I have companies I buy $1 a day. $1 a day. I buy a fractional share of the $1 a day.
Forget it.
You know why? It's not too much about the monetary value, but it's first of all about building the discipline and the consistency. Wealth is only built over time. There are very few examples which you can see, like the owner of Facebook and a lot of these young boys. That is an anomaly. Most millionaires get to $1 million at 50. Let nobody be deceiving people left, right, and you think you can just quick. So a lot of times, most people start to chase that quick fix. A person who is making $60,000 today in America at the age of 20, if you start investing only $500, even $200 on an S&P 500 ETF, which is an exchange-traded fund. An exchange-traded fund is a bucket full of different companies. So you spread out your risk. If you just invest that in an exchange-traded fund and it rises and the average annual return is 10%, by the time you are at 60 years old, you'll certainly be over $1 million. If I had a computer, I would have demonstrated it here. So it doesn't require rush. It doesn't require get rich quick. You don't have to be a millionaire tomorrow, but it is possible if you are diligent, if you are disciplined, and if you are consistent. All of these things I'm sharing is not only stuff I read, but are things that have happened to me too. I used to be young too. I used to think I could just do this and that. I'll get a return of this. I realized as I got close to my mid-30s and my late 30s that no, it doesn't work like that. The owner of KFC founded KFC at 52. He still ended up at 65. He still ended up successful. The one for McDonald's founded it at 52. He still ended up successful. So the key here is consistency and Njoya.
I said, boss, I want to run up over one. If 1 hour 23 minutes don't fly like that, nothing. And if
1 hour 23 minutes,
I'm telling you,
I'm sure some people might have questions.
Yeah, by the way, people get questions, but they tell me say the one festival they want to in the back, guys. The people they when we got here, Charles was talking to someone on the phone. Around $5,000 call we get for Enamo study show. The same thing with Gustav driving from Austin to here. The whole day we begin for to do different thing them. And if you just tell and say, I beg, we'll do this again every now and then. We'll go for maybe talk with them for back, know their program, and then maybe meet our offer. So you know what? Maybe next time we'll meet on for Austin. Maybe the other time we'll meet up for. But I want beg them one a day for year. Say at least more they do once a month. If you mean say, me out.
No, but I think one of the things, Toridey, I think one of the things you exemplify, and I just talked about it a few minutes ago, as one of the key tenets of wealth, is networking and relationships. People don't understand how important that is. That is the fourth key area of wealth. After knowledge, after work ethic, after money. You're talking about networking and relationships. Today, Mr. Njoya can leave Houston, come here. I can leave Austin, come here. You are not paying us for this. We know for a fact that our platforms are not going to be built by this. It's only a few handful of people who are interested in this kind of information. So what is in it for us? It's the fact that you have not only networked, but also built a relationship that you sell a vision that is bigger than the two of us. And that's why it makes sense for us to also support that vision so that our community can be educated more, so that we can produce more, so that we can have more. You see, let me tell you a short story before we get back to that. When I used to work for Oracle, Oracle is one of the top technology companies in the world, right? And at that time, I remember when they were opening their head office here in Austin about 4 years ago. They came in, Larry Ellison flew in. Larry Ellison is a 79-year-old owner of Oracle, worth billions of dollars. He flew in his helicopter, jeans, little tennis shoes, Lacoste t-shirt. And we had a conversation. He was talking, telling people about different things. And then after the meetings now, he was standing there and there was a crowd, security people, and, there was a line. People were trying to say hello, people were afraid and all of that kind of thing. I just walked up to him. Before the security guys realized I was standing in front of him, I extended my hand and said, Mr. Ellison, I'm glad to meet you. Welcome to Austin. I hope you like your stay here. He said, wow, nobody first of all ever called me Mr. Ellison as a staff. I said, oh, really? I said, well, I'm originally from Cameroon. I've lived in Austin 10 years. I'm from Cameroon. Cameroon is a 27 million population country, slightly larger than the land size of California. We speak 3 languages in Cameroon, English, French, Pidgin. Dynamic people. We represent the peopling, the geography and the cultures of Africa. If you want to visit one country in Africa and enjoy the entirety of Africa, come to Cameroon and I would like to have you there. I didn't wait for him to ask me a question. I didn't wait for him to say no.
You had your elevator speech.
I had my 1 minute opportunity. But Mr. Njoya, here's the deal. I had a friend in that company, a colleague who used to work together. And one time this guy told me he was traveling to Kenya. I said, what's he going to do with Kenya? He said he and his 10 friends, they were just watching the Super Bowl and they decided they want to do a mission trip to Kenya. I said, really? He said, yes. I said, how did it come about? He said, well, they just bet that, okay, the team that loses, we all are going to put together $10,000 and we take a mission trip to Kenya to go support the mission. I said, but Eric, man, are you and me doing the same job? We're on the same job. I believe we're making about the same kind of money. Almost every 2 months, you're in Las Vegas or somewhere with your wife and children. Now you are going to Kenya. Are you sure you're not doing something for extra money? You know what he told me? He said, no, I said, but your kids, you have 3 kids and they have to go to college and all. He said, no, my great-grandfather already took care of their college and their investments for their new businesses. So all the money I make is for me.
Yeah.
And my wife to chop. I have no responsibility.
Wow.
Right? Mr. Njoya talked about wills and trust.
Yes.
Of course, it's a work in progress. There's still a lot of things around that area too I have to tighten in my own life. But this are stuff that comes with knowledge. If you don't know, you don't understand, you will not do it. By the time something happens to you, you are not only gone, your family does not only miss you, your friends don't only miss you emotionally, psychologically, but they stay back and suffer.
Gustav, you are making me emotional with what you're saying. Why am I emotional? I'm getting emotional because, I mean, when I talk to people about things like that, I get emotional because we come to America and then we miss America altogether. For many years and years that we've been coming to America, we've been missing America. I'm not standing here to say I'm the superstar or whatsoever, but I think something. Let me tell you something. There is something I usually give people, and I will not leave here without saying it. I would say it. Maybe let me just throw it out there. I tell people all the time, Most of us, we work in this country, we have small businesses, we work all through our lives. Our children grow, they get old, and then the next one grows and it gets old. We are happy that we've had our American dream. Let me tell you what all of us can do to do what that guy is doing. First of all, the tax code says that you cannot employ any person under the age of 14.
Mm-hmm.
That is called child abuse under the age of 14.
Mm-hmm.
It goes further to tell you, and that's why I tell you that your wealth is in the tax code. It goes further to tell you that unless that person is your own kid, it's your child. What does that mean?
It gives you that
It
exception.
means that you can hire your child at any age in your business. Okay. Now, most people listen to it and say, okay, that's fine. Hiring my child, it doesn't mean a thing. But that's where the wealth is. Let me tell you another thing. The tax code, the tax court has upheld the age of 7 as the reasonable age where you can actually invest in that child. You can actually hire a child and he does something reasonable. That's the tax court.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you may have a child who is 2 and he's doing modeling as a model. Child who is acting, the tax court cannot deny that because that's an active duty that you can see that the child is doing. But for normal things, they upheld the age of 7. So now, here comes the power of compound. Here comes the second thing. Now, when you hire a child at the age of 7, number one of the biggest things that's levied against us entrepreneurs is that we don't have time for our families. We don't have time. So now you have that child, you can teach him how to do A, B, C. He starts knowing how to manage money. Because managing money is the most important thing in this economy. And nobody teaches anybody how to manage money. That's number one. You can now teach your own child how to manage money. You're spending time with the child, you're educating the child. That's number one. That's a benefit. Big benefit. The second benefit is that the wealthy, what they do there, look at Trump, all his children work for him. The second thing is that you can now be able, so you have to structure to pay that child. There is no entrepreneur in our community whose child doesn't work for him. Go take me that shoe. Go take me this thing there. Go and bring me that camera over there. That's work.
That's your assistant.
That is work. And then now,
pay.
and generally you don't pay them, you don't structure it. You structure it and pay that child. Get an account, pay a bank account, and pay that child through that bank account. Okay, there's something that you create called a family management company to do that. Once you pay that child, it means that now you've just converted the government to be paying. Now you can pay that child's school fees through that same process. Now you're paying the child's school. The government is helping you pay the child's school fees, pay for his feeding, pay for his Christmas dress, pay for everything that you're doing for that child. Because it's now and then the account you created for that child is called a custodial account. So the money you put there, you are the one managing the account. You can take the money and do anything you want. Now the second thing, now you have money. The government is helping you pay for everything about that child. Number 3, the standard deduction for the present tax code is $14,000 per person. So it means that if you pay that child anything $14,000 or less, it is tax-free. That child will not pay any tax. It will not even file any taxes on it. And also, you are in the 37% tax bracket. So you just put $14,000 to a child. That's $14,000 for you. You just saved about $6,000 in taxes by pushing that child to that child. By putting that tax to that child, you save 16. So if you have 4 kids, you can imagine how much you just saved. So it's tax deductible for that child. It is tax free for that child. It's tax deductible to you. That is huge. I'm talking about something here that people, maybe you don't understand what I'm talking. People will think about, okay, these are all benefits. Some people, you just doing that, you've saved a lot in taxes. You're employing your kid. You're making the government pay for your kids. And then you are making, now even for the education for your kids, it's paying. But now, the bigger part, you've done all of this. Now the tax code further says that earned income, because that child has earned income, you can now use that money because it's called earned income. That was money that you put in an account called custodial account because you're the custodian. Custodial account, the child doesn't take it, you're the one taking it. So you're funneling all the things that you want to spend on that child through that account. And then now you can take that money. The tax code says that You can only invest in your retirement if it's called in things like Roth IRA, if it's called earned income. So that child has earned it because the child actually worked. You have to demonstrate that the child actually worked. If you take something, that money, you take $7,000 a year from that money and put in a Roth IRA for a child with 7. And then there was something I called the power of compounding. He said that S&P 500, you get at least 8 to 12% maximum, minimum. Let's just say 7%.
Yeah.
You calculate that that child has access to that money when he's retired. Just that one $7,000 that you put one time. By the time that child retires, it's over $1 million.
For doing
That
nothing.
one. That one. And all of us have it because the children are doing, you're not doing anything. It's over $1 million. So that child now is like that your friend who has the money. So because we are not educated, nobody tells us how those things work. We cannot do it. So basically, you now have, imagine you doing it for 7 years, 8 years, 10, 9 years, 10 years, 11 years, 12 years, 13, up to the age of 20 when he's departing from you. You've created at least $20 million for that child upon the time he retires. And that money, mind you, is called tax-free. While your own retirement, you've been putting in 401k for all your life. At the end of the year, if you made $1 million, you are going to pay almost half of it in tax. That is only tax-free. That is generational wealth tax-free. And there are so many things I can talk about this thing that just makes it crazier. But why are we not doing it? Why are we not doing it?
We don't know.
Boss, I want to ask you any topic the way we be the homes we'll talk about today. I want to bring her up any.
Oh my brother, it's like you go to the liquor store or you go to the ocean and the fisherman asks you, is there any fish you wanted to eat that you didn't catch? There is just so much fish in the ocean. You cannot eat all today. Mr. Njoya, we can't eat all the fish today. No, I think there are just a lot of things we can talk about. Every time we have a chance to sit together like this, it's usually very powerful. And it's powerful because if you're out there listening to us, please take action. Do something with this information. Don't just listen to the information, get a dopamine hit, feel good, and then go home and do nothing. Don't try to do everything. Don't even try to do 3 things. Just choose one thing you've learned today and do it. It is just basically learning how to maximize your taxes. You know exactly who to talk to. You talk to Mr. Njoya. If you just want to learn how to invest in yourself for personal growth, for profit, build a legacy, learn what your gift is, what is it that is your purpose, how to build on that purpose and become successful and wealthy in your life, you can always reach out to me. We have social media platforms, right? But just find one thing and start with it. Talk to that one thing. Talk to your spirit. Find a way to execute on that one thing. If you haven't started investing on the stock market yet, if you even want to understand how that is done, you can reach out. Toridey will always help drive you to the people who can help you with that, right? But the important thing is to start. You don't have to have $1,000. You don't have to have $10,000. You don't have to have, no, even if you have just $10 every month, you can start buying an Apple share for $10. The latest and the best time to have planted a tree was 10 years ago. The next best time is today. So wherever you are, start from where you are with what you have. Listen, I always say this, and it's in all genuineness, right? Sympathy will only bring you tears. Only sweat will deliver you results. Most people around you will empathize. Where I'm sorry, where you got to 79 and you are broke. I'm sorry, you are here, you are sick. Here is an apple to eat. That's all they can do. I talk about the triple threat Toridey. That is the greatest scare in my own life. That is what drives me. That's what doesn't give me a chance to sleep and to sleep beyond 4:30 in the morning. Because they say dreams is not what you see when you sleep. Dreams are the thing which will not even let you sleep in the first place. When I think about it, there are 3 things. The first one, aging. We all are going to get old. Maybe at different times, in different ways. If you are keeping fit like you and Mr. Njoya, you certainly get old looking nicer. Someone like me who likes his Achu and Eo and Kati, it might not be the same at 80, but you will get old. The second one is illness. At some point, we're going to get sick. You could manage it by living healthier, you minimize the impact, but we're going to get sick. The third one is becoming broke. That one is totally in your control. I call it the triple threat. Getting old, getting sick, and then you're broke. I'm going back to Hudson. I can't take it no more. Mr. Joy, I can't take it no more. You are completely finished.
I know.
I don't know if I make sense.
No, that's
Worst
true.
of all, living in America today, even if you're not living in America, even if you're living in Santa, even if you are living in Kumasi in Ghana, you are living in Dakar, Senegal, in Lagos, Nigeria, even in the village called Ugeli in Nigeria, you have internet today. So you cannot tell me you can't learn things like this. Because we're speaking today online, you can get it anywhere. That money you could have bought this bottle of 1738 or whatever it is, it's Christmas time, put some data on your phone and watch YouTube. Because one piece of information is going to change your life.
Absolutely.
In this generation and the generations to come, there is no excuse. You only have yourself to blame. Because there are a lot of different things you can do with information like this, which used to be free. I attended a conference last weekend with my brother, Dr. Edimo, yet out of San Antonio, my younger brother. We attended a conference in Austin on how to increase our ability and our knowledge and our skill set on investing on the stock market and building wealth. We are really good at it, but every day you need, like Mr. Njoya, he reads a lot to get himself better at what he does, right? And one of the things that happened there is, the guy said, one of the people who was there, he was talking about different examples and different things happening and stuff like that. But one of the key things he said, which is very important, is that he described how the stock market used to work before pre-internet. Only the rich could invest. To invest on the stock market, you needed a minimum of $15,000 to open an account. That's not only it, but you have to pick up your phone and call a broker. And then the broker will take maybe 2 to 3 days before they can even put in a sale for your a buy order or a sell order for your stocks and confirm to you 1 week after that it has gone through. I want us to understand this Toridey. Today on your telephone, you open Robinhood, you look at the cryptocurrency you like, you press purchase. In 1 second, you are an owner of that company. You are an owner of that cryptocurrency. So all I'm trying to say is that excuses can only bring you sympathy, but only sweat will bring you results. Excuses are only what they are. They can make you feel good. You might be justified with those excuses, but it doesn't solve any problem. At the end of the day, when your daughter stands up like mine, when she's down in Texas State University there in San Marcos, right? She went to school 1 month after I received an email, Mr. Achu, $12,000 is due. Hey, listen. Sympathy doesn't solve that problem. Your friends are not going to solve that problem. Your sisters, your cousins who love you, they're not going
to reduce your paycheck so that you start thinking,
how are you going to do that? But these things can be completely taken care of if we understand the things we are saying and start doing it early. You start investing. Everybody should be investing on the US stock market. Everybody, if you cannot even consult Mr. Njoya one-on-one because he's he gives value, and value comes with some sacrifice. You can even go to his channel and watch his videos. He gives free information every day. The question is, do you want to be entertained or you want to be educated to make wealth and build a life for yourself? Do you want to spend time worrying about who has who is talking about who did what, this one Congo said that, or this one, or you want to spend time educating yourself? The choice is yours. All I know is that I will surely and hopefully see you at the top.
I mean, I want to commend you, because what you're doing in your space with all these things about helping people structure all these things. I mean, if you don't know what you have in our community, we have people in our community who can really help us to get to where we want to go. I mean, today the world has become a global village. Wherever you are, you can do anything. So these guys, I mean, you are not here because you're talking to the Americans. It's not to the Americans. The guy who is sitting in Cameroon can do I mean, contact Gustav, contact me, contact us. We are able to tell you what to do step by step. The IT space is just open to everybody. You cannot
Absolutely.
sit in Cameroon today and say you're poor, you're broke because of this. Everything is open. I want to talk about two things. The first thing I'm going to say is, the first one I'm going to talk about somebody I just read about today. She's called Barbara Cochran. We all know Barbara Cochran.
She appears on what is that show called? Shark Tank.
Yes. Barbara Cochran. I was listening to Barbara Cochran. The second thing I'm going to talk about hard work. Just so remind me, let me not forget that. So I was talking, so I was listening to Barbara Cochran, and Barbara Cochran, there were two things she talked about that were very, very insightful. She said, the worst thing that can happen to any human being, and you were just talking about it, is about self-pity.
Yeah. Self-deprecation, feeling sorry for yourself.
Feeling sorry.
Feeling like
and then trying to feel that it's because of someone's fault. It's never someone's fault. It is our fault. It's never someone's fault. Every time you start feeling that way, you're a failure. Because it's never someone's fault. If you're somewhere you cannot do it, it's not happening. We complain about our jobs every day. We complain about things we do every day. And then we're carrying it and dumping it on someone else. Whereas it is our fault. We can, especially for those of us who are here. I mean, you cannot compare. There are things that are available to us because we're in America more than anywhere in the world. Number one. So I don't think you should be sitting here and complaining. That's number one. Number two, she said something which was very critical. She said the only reason she's worth about $100 million today is because one thing happened to her. So when she met her former husband, that guy was a great guy. They were happy. They did things together. And then that guy invested in her, gave her $1,000 to start business. So they started their business together. And then 7 years down the line, that guy got married to her secretary because she was older. The girl was younger. And she was saying that girl, so they asked her, she said, old age sucks. It really sucks.
Old age cost her husband.
Husband went for a younger girl and then now she felt like the world was ending. And then she felt like it was her fault, the fault of the other person, everybody. But she quickly realized that, hey, she can do something. And then that's when she created the Cochran Investment Group and started her business and started that. The only reason she's worth almost $100 million today is because of that one decision. So at times we take our failures and think that our failures are breaking off. Our failures, I mean, I was telling you that I want more people to be sacked. Because if we get sacked from our jobs, we start thinking. Thoughts start coming through. We start thinking, maybe my phone can help me. Maybe I can do this. You start thinking out of the box. When you are, fear is the biggest thing that is holding us from winning.
Yes,
Fear.
I agree.
Fear. Because you have that mortgage. How would I do with that mortgage? Baby, how would I do with this? How would I take care of my mommy who's in the village? I have a lot of people who come from Africa. They come to America. When they get into America, immediately they start working $10 job and sending the money back home. When you start doing that, you're done for the rest of your life. You're done. You're done for the rest of your life.
If you're not careful, true.
If you're not careful, you're done for the rest of your life. When you get to this country, the first thing is to build yourself. Build yourself. Because if you don't build yourself, guess what? You're doomed for $10.
But what do they tell you when you get into a plane? when the plane is about to take off, the air hostess are going through the safety measures. What do they say? Put your oxygen mask first.
Yes.
Before you
can worry about your child, your mother, your father, your uncle.
So that is the game. And then, so I'm telling people, I tell people all the time, for new people who come to this country, don't forget about what is happening back home. Build yourself. Go to school, whatever you want to do. He was talking about, think about what you want to do. See your apple. Identify that, because if you don't make income, remember I told you the three things, the three stages to wealth. Number one is income generation. If you are making $10 and you think $10 will take you to anywhere, you have lost it completely. That's number one. So I wanted to talk about that as a gift to people. I've told you about things. We've told you about the different types of things you can invest in. We've talked about how you can take care of your child. We've told you about things that you need to do when you get into this country. And most importantly, I want to talk about hard work. There's no set of people in this country who work harder than immigrants. There's no
Just
set.
incredible, my
There's
son.
no set of people
3,
who
4
work harder
jobs.
than immigrants.
Man, we work hard.
We work extremely hard. But where do we find ourselves on the
Bottom of the
ladder?
totem
We are
pole.
at the bottom of the totem pole. Why?
Get
Because
fired,
we
there's a
don't
funeral at home.
understand how the system works. We do not understand how the system works. And most of the time, our mindsets tell us that we are okay. We know everything. We don't want to learn. We don't want to get anything from anybody. We are so okay that we want to sit and do ABC. Guys, if you knew how this system works, we will all be in the top 1%. If we knew how this system works, we add our hard work to working smart, we will all be in the top 1%. Guys, invest in yourself. Understand the system. And if you don't understand it, reach out to Toridey, reach out to us. We are going to talk to you about these things because that's what we teach.
We have
That's
put
what
a
we
lot of
help
different
people with.
programs on that. Absolutely.
Thank you.
It is a matter. When I reach out to me and say I will redirect them to
No,
but that is
absolutely
my
not.
go-to people. And the one and a joke. Wake up every morning, I go to his page, because I know for sure. So one thing we don't post time more than I yesterday on even if you miss, I go repeat the videos. Now so I they learn and learn. Boss, tell them where to find you.
Oh, yeah. I'm on Instagram, Gustav Achu, Facebook, Gustav Achu, on YouTube, Gustav Achu, and you can find me on those 3 primary platforms. I'm also on LinkedIn, but my number 1 platform is the YouTube platform, and the reason why is because on YouTube I share longer content. I share content that you can really get a context, watch, and be able to take valuable advice from it. But in addition to that, one of the things I really like to tell people about, which is I think is the foundational element of just starting to build yourself. Every human being must find a way to identify their purpose. You see, a lot of people live in a lot of frustration. A lot of people live a life of quiet destitute, right? They are tiptoeing through life to only arrive safely at death. It doesn't make sense because they haven't identified what it is that God placed in their heart to deliver to this world. Once you identify your purpose, life becomes easier. You are able to not even worry if you don't sleep because you know that you're working on your work, which is not your job. I usually say your job is what you're paid to do. Your work is what you're born to do. You can be fired from your work, from your job, but you can never be fired from your work. Your job is what provides you a living. Your work is what gives you a legacy. Your work is what you learn to do. Your job is what you learn to do. Your work is one you are born with the seed in you.
Yes.
And until you identify that gift, that purpose, you'll never be able to unleash what you say. Mr. Njoya made a very good point here, right? There are a lot of people out there who are even making money, good, reasonable money. But you talk to them, they're always depressed. They're unhappy. They're dissatisfied with life. They feel an emptiness in them because they feel like they're not doing and contributing around the area of their gift. So if you're one of those people, if you want to know what your purpose is, if you want to understand exactly what is it that you were born to do, feel free when you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see a link. You can click on that link. You can book a one-on-one time with me, and I'll explain to you some of the different programs I run. And these programs have been transforming people's lives over the last few years. Wow. And if you want to be one of those who is going to be transformed, it's your opportunity. And when you get there, please let me know you come from the Toridey show today so that you can have a discount on some of those programs, right? Absolutely. But even apart from that, even if it's not me, I'm not talking today because it has to be me or it has to be Mr. Njoya on the tax side. Whichever other person understand the concepts, look out to find that transformation in your life. It doesn't have to come to us. We are just messengers. We are just a vessel. We are sharing what we know, what we've been able to do. If you want to work with us, it is fine. If you don't want to work with us, no hurt, no pain, no love lost. But it's important to go ahead and make sure you do those things for your life. Because until you do them, you will not be able to find pure joy, contentment, and satisfaction. He talked about, blaming people. Yes, sometimes it could be people's fault. But it is your responsibility
to fix it,
to come out of it.
Yeah.
It is your responsibility to come out of it. So Toridey, always a great joy to be on here. I can't wait. Each time I'm coming here, because I don't eat till 2:00 in the afternoon. So I usually don't eat. I hope after this there's going to be dinner for us.
No,
I am on something called intermittent fasting, so I can have a six-pack. So I usually don't eat. I eat between 2 and 5 in the evening and then 2 the next day. So where I'm sitting here, the program has to extend for another hour.
No, you cannot stand.
We'll probably end up here needing Nah, I'm just messing with
Oh
you.
God, I
But that
like.
was a great pleasure
Yes.
being on the show,
Yeah.
especially, with my big brother here,
Yes.
somebody I really respect a lot, somebody who I really believe that it's a great blessing for the community to have him. He's one really proud son of the soil. He's somebody, listen, if I talk about this guy's pedigree, the companies these guys have worked for, the projects in this world he has worked for companies like Price Waterhouse. These are the top auditing, accounting, and tax strategic firms in the world. The kind of people he has worked with, directly with the CEOs, reporting straight to the CEO. These are multi-billion-dollar companies in this world. He's worked with corporations like Mobile, partnering with them as a consultant. And so when I see somebody like this comes back to the community and say, hey, you know
I
what?
want to give back.
At the end of the day, I'm not
Okay.
going to die and go with these things.
Yeah.
Let me take it out of my
Yep.
head. Let me give people. I know some people might not be able to pay my $10,000 fee or $15,000 fee. That is fine. Just come to Toridey.
Yeah.
You'll get everything free. Just come to my Facebook page. You'll get some stuff free. But if you want to go down in the weeds, feel free. You can find the money, come we talk. But even with these ones, you can already start building something. That's what we're talking about here. That is why we spend the time, the energy, the effort to come and do these things.
Yes.
Because we realize that it's bigger than us. If all of us are doing better, it's better for all of us.
Yeah.
The day I understood that Jeff Bezos, who was the richest man in the world for many years, only owned 11% of Amazon 10 years ago, it blew my mind.
Yes.
Do
Absolutely.
you know that Elon Musk only owns 21% of Tesla?
Of Tesla.
But here is the deal, guys.
Yes.
Let me tell you a secret in this business that I understood in this life, and when I understood this thing. There's a group of guys, they call them the PayPal Mafia. Elon Musk and about 8 of his friends. They used to work in PayPal together. That's where they started on their journey of massive transformation. They worked in PayPal for a few years, and then another company bought PayPal over, and they sold out, right? And so each of them got a little bit of capital to start. Now they left PayPal and they went out and started creating companies. Let me tell you some of the companies they've created. Tesla, SpaceX, LinkedIn. What is this company that they do client reviews? The biggest client review company. I forget their name. They've created like 50. Just go to Google and type the PayPal Mafia. They've created like 70 multi-billion Uber, all these companies, right? But what I learned from those guys is that number one, the cake is big enough. Now, if the cake is not big enough, instead of fighting to have a big piece of a small cake, come together and make a bigger cake and have a small piece of a bigger cake. I don't know if that makes sense.
Gustav Achu.
No, I want us to understand what we're talking here, right? Because I would rather have 11% of an Amazon and be the richest man in the world than to have 100% of a $1 billion company.
That's exactly the reason we talk about private equity. Private equity is what has transformed America.
Nothing else. Uber didn't make profit for 13 years.
That's private
They
equity.
made their first profit 1 year ago. But there was somebody cutting checks to Uber, even though it was a company which was not making profit. Because they believe in the vision and they knew that over time it's going to make money. That's another thing we all as Africans do have to understand, and immigrants. That private equity is where the deal happens. There are a lot of people who have ideas in our communities, back at home in different parts of Africa, but people are not willing to back them for an extended period of time. For example, I could come now and say, okay, me and Mr. Njoya want to invest in Toridey media production or whatever it is. We need to give Toridey a strategic 10 years.
Yes.
And there are milestones every year or 2 years. We see, even if it doesn't hit the milestone, we'll say, okay, no problem. We adjust the list. We move the goalpost again, because we know that what you are doing is a matter of time. Now, these are the things that someone like Mr. Njoya wants to start focusing more on. He's moving away from tax strategy more into private equity, helping people bring that capital together. Because no matter how good your idea is, without capital, you end up a small business.
Yes.
95% of all Black-owned businesses in America are small businesses. That's why we don't make money. So you are basically a sole employer in the name of a business.
So
talk to me, Mr. Njoya.
I mean, Gustav, I know. I call you Gustav because of our relationship, but you are. I mean, Toridey, you know, I don't have much to tell you. You're already the guy. We talk a lot. We get connected a lot. We do many things together. Gustav, the power of our community is going to be in us coming together to change our own dynasty,
Yeah.
to change our own estates. If you really think that you want to change the game and you think that you're going to change it alone, it's not going to happen. It doesn't happen for anybody. It doesn't happen for anybody. If you look at the Jews in this country, they've all come into groups. Last week, I had a podcast with a Jewish guy. This guy is doing amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. And when he tells you how they basically contributed to making him, now he has real estate over the place. He owns a cost segregation company just for cost segregating. And you think about the properties that he's cost segregating. There are some of the company. I mean, I just see some of the things these guys do. And when they talk to you, you just feel like, what are we doing in this country? What are we doing? These Jewish, they don't do anything more than what we do.
No, they don't.
They just understand how to come together and trust one another to be able to work together
Mr. Njoya,
and build.
You and not to intercept, right? You talked about this and something came to my mind. I read a book, and in this book, this guy talked about one of the pillars of Jewish success, and it's a concept which is deeply embedded in a Yiddish word, called fagging. What is fagging? Fagging is a tradition, almost like a rule within the Jewish community, which says that when an individual from the community creates a business, the community has a moral obligation to support that individual until the business becomes successful. What it means is that when the individual creates that business, even though the business might not be delivering at 100% yet, even though the customer service might not be optimal, even though the business might have delays,
it is our
but they
responsibility
will
to make it
still
work.
continue supporting that business till it makes it work. One of the big differences between the concept of fagging and one of the reasons why we must adopt a concept like that is that we are quick to abandon and we are quick to believe. Listen, businesses are tough to build. That's why people cut checks for 13 years. But today they are chopping. They are smiling. We must understand, number one, the power of postponing present gratification for future gains. Number two, the power for believing in the vision despite the imperfections. If I start today delivering, let's say I'm a designer of clothes or something, the suits might not be perfect yet, but I'll still keep learning how to sew it. Give me time. We don't give each other time. We don't give our entrepreneurs and our people who are visionaries time. Let me tell people something which they need to understand. Over the last 7 years, I've read about 350 books on success, on business, on leadership, and all of that. All the people in this world who have made a significant dent in the destiny and the direction of the world always came across confusing. It doesn't make sense sometimes. They don't even know completely what they are trying to do. They just see a vision. They sound like they are crazy. When Jeff Bezos put together 15 of his family members, I say, guys, listen, there is an opportunity like none in the world. In this world we are living in today, nobody sells books online. Nobody has a platform where people can click on the computer. Computer is rising. Internet is rising. How can we make? Oh no, young man, just man, you're already working at the Wall Street Bank. You are making $400,000 or $300,000 a year. Please keep your Wall Street job now. That's a job people dream of having. 300,000, you're already part of the 12% of America. Why are you rushing to? He is trying to tell them that what I am making there is peanuts. Come with me. Family said no, they don't understand. He went and got a few friends and put some money into Amazon. This is the story. And that we're talking about Amazon. Something people don't realize, for every Jeff Bezos who owns Amazon, who owns 11%, there are over 300 other billionaires
around him.
Exactly. Who came out of Amazon. Another 2,000 millionaires. Another 5,000 2,000 centimillionaires, another hundreds of $1 million business people. I know we are not saying here that people should go quit their job. That's not what we are saying. But we are saying it starts with the mindset. Understanding what it takes, understanding the dynamics of this country. Sometimes you don't need to be the one who has the idea. Be humble enough to invest in the one who has the idea. Put together guardrails around that. Believe in the project. Encourage them even when it seems like they're failing. I met this guy. I have a friend in Austin. And how did I meet? This lady and her husband, they lost their father last year. So they about 3 years ago, they invited me to come and be an MC at the event. So I got to meet this lady, and then she introduced me now to her sister's husband. Her sister's husband has developed one of the most robust cyber security systems I know about, and I know a thing or two about technology. He's looking for funding. He's looking for people to invest in his ideas. I got on the call with him for 5 minutes. He showed me what he was doing. I committed to him. I said, listen, by February of next year, I'm going to look for some money and I'm going to invest in your vision. I don't care whether it works or not. If it works, it's a good thing. If it doesn't work, get the next one. Let's start on it. That is the mindset we need to get into.
Yeah.
People need to understand how this thing works, Toridey, because once it works, do you know that we use Calendly today? Calendly is a program where you go on the calendar, click, you can book time on Mr. Njoya's time, and you can pay or whatever. A Nigerian guy started that business. Calendly is valued today over what, 3-4 billion or something, 5 billion. Now, think about what that guy can do to his community. We talk a lot in Africa because we've been trained by our very mindset to talk a lot and believe in charity. There's no charity without entrepreneurship. The biggest charity in the world is making money as an entrepreneur and giving back. You don't make the money, there's nothing to give back. Africa has received aid and charity for 50 years, about $500 billion was still poorer. What does that tell you and me? It tells you and me that is not the solution. The solution is by finding a way to generate value out of ourselves. People think about poverty as lack of money. Poverty is not lack of money. Poverty is lack of the ability to be productive.
Yes.
Money is just a conduit.
Yes.
You shut down his tax office today, give him 10 years, he will build a bigger business.
Even 10 years, 6 months.
No, I'm just talking about because he's productive on the inside. You stop me today from doing what I'm doing. In 2 years, I'll do something else. Because we're talking about this thing because we want to generate that productivity spirit. That spirit of not being a consumer, but to be a producer.
Yeah.
Even if you can be a consumer, choose to find a way to start thinking as a producer while consuming. Because that is the only way we can generate value. The value that can build companies like Mr. Njoya is talking. The value, he is exposed to a lot of people. He's exposed to people who have different ideas. If he calls me tomorrow and says, Gustav, you know what? I met this guy. He's trying to produce a machine that can peel plantains, slice it, and transform it into plantain chips. He's looking about $2 million to start the business. I'm putting together a consortium of investors for a private equity firm, for a private equity capitalization project to see how we can move forward with this business. That's an opportunity. He might be asking me for $20,000. That same company in 10 years could be valued at 10 billion. My 20,000 automatically becomes $2 million.
And you just landed somewhere. You just landed somewhere. Let me tell you, I'm gonna take it very short. Yes, I want to take it very short. And this is very important. And what would be a question for me? How can people contact me?
That was a question.
Okay, I was gonna say something where you landed. So basically, our company is called CHN Advisors. For those who we run a company called CHN Advisors. What is CHN Advisors? CHN Advisors is a tax and estate strategy firm. We believe that your wealth is in there. Your wealth is in the taxes. Your wealth is in strategy. Your wealth is in structuring your entire estate. And one thing that you don't know, one thing we have realized is that there is no tax and estate strategy firm in our whole community. There's not one. But you know what? The wealthy in this country have strived because of tax and estate strategy. That's the basis of their wealth. They call it family offices. They call it family office. The Jeff Bezos, the Elon Musk, all these guys have their family offices, and that's what is at the background. They are the operations machines. I mean, the owners are the operations, but everything that is being done about how to make them never make money, how to make them never give money away is around the strategy. Today, we are the tax and estate strategy for our own community. We want to position ourselves as the number one tax and estate strategy firm for immigrants in this country. Because immigrants don't have it. We really don't have it. And one thing we do, we basically will help you do 3 things. That is the basis of your wealth. Number one, we will help you with asset protection. We are a group of lawyers, they are attorneys on our platform who will help you with asset protection. The second thing is we will help you with tax mitigation. And then we will help you with wealth building. And that's why people like Gustav are very important to my platform. Very, very important. And if you're seated out there, you're a community member, be it from Nigeria, from wherever you're seated out there, and you're somebody who thinks that you have a lot of value in this area, you want to contact me, because we want to stand as that firm that really stands out there. And what is the next step? We've already, CHN Advisors is about bringing people. We already have a lot of wealthy people on our platform who believe in us, who believe in what we're doing. If you're sitting out there and you're struggling with your taxes, you're paying too much in taxes, this is almost the year end. If you are a business guy, you pay crazy amounts of taxes, contact us immediately. We can save you a lot of money before this year. And we don't help you evade taxes. We help you avoid taxes. We'll help you structure that money to acquire wealth, to acquire assets, because wealth is in assets, wealth is not in income. And then we'll help you protect those assets. Those are the critical things. Again, we want to build a platform which is really for us. And then from there, with all what we have on that platform, that is the basis for our CHN Capital. CHN Capital is all about bringing these investors to help us start doing the things that are in this community. That is the next level of wealth building. And guys, let's work together. Let's make this happen. I appreciate you. I want to thank you. You can go to my platform, Facebook, Instagram. You just go and type CHN Advisors, or you type my name, Charles Njoya. On all platforms, we are there. We communicate every day. We teach people. We attend conferences. We speak about these things. Guys, let's work together. Let's win together. We came here to win. You don't have a choice but to win. You have to win. Let's win.
Go on, Dr. Santi.
No. I think it's been a brilliant evening. It's just been a wonderful time being with you, Toridey, being with my brother Njoya. I will certainly have an opportunity. We sure can commit to every month. You know, sometimes distance makes the heart fonder, right? So give it a little time. We'll be back again. We're always around, right?
Okay.
We'll come back and we will certainly work on that and help people as much as we can.
Now, people will wonder why I not read questions or I not take questions and all of that. I usually give people the chance. Sometimes even open phone lines for ask questions, all of that. I don't do that particular thing today because I want to follow them. When I go ask the questions, when I get to ask for their inbox and all of that, I feel like it's high time we start understanding they not get enough time for you. Go watch their videos. If you get question, sometimes will be you even ask the question inbox. So I don't do that kind of video. You go watch them rather than for the take time we discuss all that thing for the one doing a question and answer. Maybe different time we'll do question and answer just for that. But for now, follow their platforms: Gustav Achu, Charles Njoya, or CHN Advisors. And thank you very, very much. Now the time for go chat. I don't know what I will go na Agis. We don't show that Agis Achu.
You know.
No, for Agis?
Yeah.
No, not yet. No, not yet.
I will get Agis, we get Concho, we get some kind of map and the way. Anyhow we do.
Then we go my pan. We go my pan.
No, let's go.
Then we go my pan.
No, I don't take questions. They're very serious.
No, I mean, it's
yeah, anyhow you get any question, go for their inbox, go follow their YouTube page, follow their Facebook pages, and I feel like that is the proper thing for us to start doing.
We've been here for over 2 hours.
Yeah.